Welcome back to Satsang, Sadhana, and Sangha. I'm going to talk about pranayama today and a little bit about the principle of light that we work with inside of the entire system that is yoga. I want to backtrack a little bit. There's a few things that I want to cover in this short video that will re-inspire and help to orient those of you who are practicing your breathing techniques regularly. One of the things that we must think about and remember is that yoga is the reversal of the manifestation of life. So the working backwards from the outer world to bring our attention back in to reflect the source of our awareness. And in this process, it's inherently transformative. And so all of the techniques, all of the methodology that is in the science of yoga is designed to bring about the experience of our reconnection to our source. And doing this, right? This is a path that we walk through daily practice and study. The study is the Satsang. The daily practice is the Sadhana. And then the community of people is the Sangha, the people that we share this path with. And doing this as a path, like I was saying, is transformative because all of these techniques, they start to bring back the projections of the mind and the distortions of the mind and our the illusion of our limited identity. And so we apply these techniques to call back the power of the cosmos. And I say that, it's the power of the cosmos. It's like kind of a big responsibility, you know? So just kind of starting there to remind us of what the purpose of this path is. And to also start there by remembering that it's light that enters into us and gives form to the body. And so there's in the metaphysics of this, the light is the causal factor, right? Consciousness is the causal factor, and then everything else is a manifestation of that consciousness. And so when we understand this, that it is energy that then comes into form, comes into existence, we can start to look at this path as the mystical path that it is of returning back home. And so I wanted to start there just to kind of give the context, because pranayama is the fourth limb of the 8 limbs of yoga, the Ashtanga yoga system of Patanjali, which describes the different stages that we work through to arrive at the final stage of yoga, the 8th limb, which is samadhi, which is the recognition or the experience of the individual as a interconnected with the whole. And that's the transformation. That's the remembrance of who we truly are. And so pranayama being the fourth limb, it's kind of the bridge from the denser and the grosser limbs to the subtler limbs. And so we have our yamas and our niyamas, and then we have our asanas, and then we arrive at pranayama. And so pranayama, which some people associate it to mean breath work, on a more accurate translation of this word pranayama, as opposed to just thinking of it as breath work, it's the restraint of prana, or the regulation of the prana, the regulation of the life force. And so part of what we need to do to regulate the life force is understand how the life force circulates in the body. And so over time with our practice, and we have things like bandhas and mudras and the positions that we hold our body in as we do our breathing techniques. And those things, those particular inner mechanisms, which are part of the Hatha Yoga system, things like the bandhas and the mudras, help to regulate the flow of that light that's coming into us so that we can hold and contain more of it. And it is this light that is inherently transformative and healing. And it's also this light that becomes distorted through the imbalances in the mind, the imbalances in the way of living, and, things, habitual patterns, thoughts, conditions, belief systems, um, things that are part of our identity that we've developed to believe that it is who we are. These are the manifestations of the light principle. So these are the effects. But if we go back to the causal factor and we develop our practice and our understanding of the path to work back to the source in the way that I'm describing, then our pranayama practice and all of the subcomponents that I was just sharing about help to transform our sadhana into something that is even more effective and more transformative for the result of reconnecting us to the source. And so having our pranayama as a daily practice is in part of our sadhana helps us to reorganize, right, our life to continue every morning or every evening or every time we come to our mat and do our practice. We're calling back more of our power, and we're calling back more of we're cleaning the distortions. And so just wanted to kind of give context to that. And so that's a little bit of the purpose of pranayama. And then to kind of give a couple tidbits and nuggets to support you in your practice of pranayama, there's a few things we really want to think about. One is, how is the container set up? So remember that the body, so the words in Sanskrit for the inhalation and the exhalation and the breath retention are, the inhalation is puraka, the exhalation is rechaka, and then the breath retention is kumbhaka. And so the meaning of these words gives a hint to what's happening. Puraka means filling, rechaka means release, kumbhaka means kumbha means vessel. And so we have to think of our body like a vessel for light. And so we're filling this vessel with light. So as I'm inhaling, there's a filling. And so the outer respiration, the breath itself, the inhalation or the exhalation, there's the light principles connected to that. And so as I'm inhaling, I'm filling. I'm like a vessel that's bringing light energy in. And if I'm doing this well, or I've optimized my breathing function, then my breath is a regenerative capacity of my organism. It's regenerative in that by breathing correctly and effectively, I bring healing to all of the systems in my body. And so there's a subtlety with this. And with pranayama, we're continuing to refine different levels of the practice. And so I want to make that clear. And I guess that's kind of what I would like to share with you today, is to just shift the perspective of thinking about it as a mechanical process of just doing a breathing technique, but to start to pay attention to, how is the light entering my body? How is the light circulating in my body? And how is my body holding and containing this light that's coming in? And so to start to look at it like that, paying attention with the mind, really focusing and concentrating with the mind. And this starts to turn what is mechanical and more breath work into a yogic practice of pranayama. And once pranayama is done well, the senses start to withdraw and turn away from the world, which is pratyahara. And by pulling the senses away from the world, we are withdrawing the manifestation of the world, because the world is a projection of our mind. The world out here is a projection of our mind, and we see it according to the state of our consciousness, right? We format everything that is seen through our perceptions. So that's a way of saying we format the unmanifest through what we believe is there. And this is a subtle and a very advanced teaching, but it's part of the metaphysical framework of yoga and what we're talking about. And so to summarize that, pay attention to the light principle, pay attention to and understand that it is the light that is the causal factor, and that our path with yoga and all of these techniques are ways to withdraw and bring the power back to its source, so that when I come back out into the world, there is a new possibility that I can create. Hope this is helpful. Om Namah Shivaya.